November 1st had rolled around and the USB drive had been eating a hole in Calais ever since he was handed it. He plugged it into his laptop and the first thing that popped up was a note from Astrid. Dear Calais, during my captivity with Henrik, he shared some things with me in a rare moment of honesty. This must stay between us. He'd been living a double life for much of the 7 years before this happened. Those jobs you always thought he was too good for were just his cover. He'd been working undercover to bring down organised crime rings with an Interpol special task force. The Nomads were simply his latest assignment. Being kidnapped was never his intention, but he still believes his cover to be intact, and he would like it to remain that way. Included in these files are some information that may allow you to verify his story. He wants you to stop looking for him, for you and your family's safety. You've grown far too noteworthy in football to keep doing this. Stop searching for him. Calais felt defeated. This had consumed him for many years, and he was now being told to stop. He decided then, as foolish as it may be, that he would never stop until his brother was safe and the Nomads had been brought down and made to pay. As always, if you have been enjoying the series, drop a like. That would be most delightful. Really does help out the channel and all that jazz. So, transfer window. And you know how long it is in bloody Sweden these transfer windows take, so expect to settle in for the long one today. We have more on the line than that because, of course, we came fourth last season. But that doesn't actually guarantee us a Europa Conference League spot because, of course, we have to wait to see who wins the cup. And that isn't going to be resolved until May. So our season is basically going to, I think, possibly have started before we even know who's won the Swedish Cup. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare to find out whether we're actually in Europe next year. Now, that makes it very difficult to prepare, of course, because you don't know how much money you're actually going to be dealing with. However, the board seem to have taken the steps as if we're in Europe anyway. So, yeah, let's move to that. Because these are our budgets for the next season. The board have set an initial wage budget of £60,000 a week and a transfer budget as well of 183 grand. Now let me just show you what that means for us. Well, that means we now have £26,000 a week in wage budget available and close to £200,000 in transfer funds. That seems to me like the board seem to be pretty on the side of us actually getting into Europe next year, which is, watch them be very disappointed when we don't, and it's not our fault. But yeah, so we're going to have to sort of prepare, I think, as if we are going to be. And I really do think this season is going to be extremely make or break for Degerfors. I think if we can build and have a good year, then great. But I also think it has the propensity to potentially go extremely wrong, which could find ourselves out of a job at the end of the season. But at the very least, this is the first time in this save we've actually made it into a third season at a club. So I guess, bring on the birthday cards, I guess. Now, it's all very well having this money, but being able to spend it is a very different matter entirely. And just looking at our squad currently, the way things are currently set out. So, obviously, we can ignore the fact that Panache isn't there for some reason. I don't entirely know why, but the point is he will be there. We'll have Panache and Kvisco. I am going to try and look for a striker during this period. The problem is, I don't think we're going to find anyone who is objectively better attribute-wise and everything else-wise than Panache. It's just a question of maybe getting him to score. Now, he did manage to get double figures for us this season. We were quite a low-scoring team. We just didn't concede a great deal either. Third best defence in the league, which is really saying something. And I think really our best strategy might just be to find a way to score a few more goals. And I don't think we really created too many chances for our strike force either. And I think that maybe was part of the problem, and maybe I was just expecting a little too much out of them. The attacking midfield spot is lovely and wrapped up there with Donazita. Now, it'd be nice to have someone sat behind him, I suppose, and we do kind of have some youngsters, so I guess it's not the end of the world. The midfield with Hudu and Kante and Angeleri and Enquiries, that's a really stacked area of the team, but obviously I'll look to see if we can find some other quality there, should we need to. I do think that another right wing-back could help, although Granite's done an okay job. Maybe a left wing-back backup, actually, to Bengtsson. As you can see, that's probably one of the weaker spots in this team. And I'm always on the lookout for some more outrageous centre-backs to potentially move some stuff around there too, should we need to. Now, as good as Jeffrey Gal was towards the end of last season, and he was brilliant, I am offering him a new deal, but I do think maybe looking for an absolutely stonkingly good goalkeeper as well could be the difference of making us even better at the back this season. But that seems like a bit of a long shot. Well, first piece of good news is that Jeffrey Gal has now signed a new contract. It's only a one-year extension because he is 34 years old, and he's an extremely experienced goalkeeper, make no mistake, but I do still think that maybe we could improve there. But big credit to Jeffrey. He's been sensational this season. As is evidenced here, you can see that Jeffrey Gal was right up towards the very top in terms of goalkeepers, quality shot stopping and saved most shots. That's a really good sign for me as to how good he's been this season for us. So extraordinarily good, actually. Really, really high up. So incredibly, Sundsvall have actually managed to stay up. They won the relegation playoffs, so fair play to them, really. They sort of dug themselves out of a hole, literally, with those 7 points from their last 3 games. They kept themselves in the top flight and stopped themselves from essentially coming bottom as a result of that. So fair play to them. That's a massive achievement for them, but it's not as good as coming fourth, though, is it, boys? There's some very strong talent from Senegalese and Ghanaian clubs in here, and obviously we already have shopped there. It's all central midfielder at the moment, but it definitely feels like that's a market that we could certainly find some quality, particularly Amar Haidara of Generation Foot, because look at the max asking price comparatively speaking, although maybe more information on both is required, I'd say. Weird one here. There's a place called Jefferson, who I've had a little look at, but for some reason, I'm not allowed to trial him, even though he doesn't have a club, which is weird. I've not seen that before. So he's been released by Jules Gordon, but now I can't offer him a trial even though he's not got a contract. Weird. Other problem we've got at the moment is we're still waiting to get our scouting budget, because for some reason it doesn't come through at the end of the season. It takes forever to come through, and the problem with that is I don't have any scouting funds to actually open up our packages at the moment, so we can only really look at the no recruitment package until such time as we actually get some scouting money. Check this guy out, Somiare Alelibo. Look at this. He's one hell of a ball-playing defender. I mean, obviously, we can't afford him. Look at the price, but still. So I've taken Richard Angani on trial. You may remember him as we had him on loan from Icor during the first season at Degerfors. Didn't play a great deal, but he was only on loan. He's now been released. I like him quite a lot. He is 6'2", he's got decent jumping reach to go with that. But the thing is, he's actually got just really nice mentals for a 20-year-old. Decent physicals in there too. The thing about him is that he can play in the central midfield as a ball in midfielder too. Look at that brilliant 15 tackling. Positioning is only 10, so he would need to work on that. But I feel like picking up this guy now might not be the worst idea in the world, even if it's not for... Plus, particularly as he'd be another homegrown. Oh, yeah, no, he would be homegrown because he may be from Dr. Congo, but he's trained in Sweden. So actually, I think this is a sensible piece of business. If we can get him in now, particularly on the cheap, before the other clubs come circling, just to lock down a player straight off the bat. Particularly as he only wants to be a breakthrough prospect. I'm still desperately keeping an eye on the likes of Amar Haidara, the Mauritanian that plays for Generation Foot, because he would be available very cheap and could really bolster our midfield three with him in there too. But... it's hard to say. Finally, a new scouting budget. We can finally start actually looking at some players. Oh, dear. Oh. God, it's quite a jump up from Sweden to Northern Europe, isn't it? An unaffordable one, sadly, for us. Looks like Sweden it is. So there's this guy, Elias Magou. He's a Moroccan goalkeeper. He's been released on a free by his club, and he does kind of appear, well, from appearances here anyway, outdo Jeffrey in virtually every area, apart from height. Oh, yes. Richard Angani will be joining us on, well, for £950. I think that's a good piece of business, just to start us off slowly and try to find some bloody players. Oh, he's just here. Straight away, free transfer. Sick. Certainly won't be starting, but as a squad player that can potentially build into the future, I like him a lot. Mago wouldn't want exactly a lot of money, as you can see here. Serve as deputy to the first choice goalkeeper. I wonder if he might just be worth signing anyway, just in case he is very good. And we could still look for another keeper, particularly if he wants to be backup. Okay, that seems higher than what I was just told by your agent there, buddy. But sure, let's... You've lied to me, Peter. You've lied. £600 a week I've managed to get him down to? I'd say that's okay for a backup goalkeeper. I've been looking at this chap for a while, but I get the feeling we're going to have similar No, actually, wait, no, we might be able to get him. Ah. Yeah. No. They want me to pay £2 million to loan him. So this was this guy, Zakaria Amor. He's got no tackling ability, but he's not bad going forward. And imagine if Porto would loan us, maybe they'd let us loan him? And again, like, they'll let you loan him, but they want you to pay £450,000 on top of his wages. It's like, do you want to loan him or not? So Elias Mago is going to join us for £600 a week as our backup goalkeeper. We'll see what he's actually like. He'll join us immediately, though, so we'll find out straight away. Fringe player, that's fine. He does seem to have mad potential if we could just get the best out of him, potentially. And he does at least have a driven personality, which is intriguing, although he's 23, so how much of that he'd be able to reach, I don't know. Wow, new average attendance, which was 1,300 people higher than the average we set in 2021. That's impressive. Another £1 million there. Wow, we might actually be, for the first time in this save, in the financial black zone. No, actually, we're still £600,000 in debt. And incredibly, our opening game is against GIF Sundsvall, like it was, well, not like it was last season, but that's incredible. Donazite can now speak good Swedish. That's encouraging. There's also Bellman, again, you know, Mr. I don't want to play for you because of your struggling league position, who would have signed for us when we were a newly promoted side. Let's see if he's interested now. Oh, now you are. But also not happening. He actually feels like a quite, but there's a reason I wanted him last year as well. And maybe if he would sign for us this time, we would get the goalkeeping situation under control nice and early. Let's see how much he actually wants. It says 2.3 to 3. Oh, okay. That's surprisingly less. We might even be able to get that lower. If he joins us for 1.5k a week, that would be really something, considering I'm pretty certain I was offering to pay him more at the start of last season when he chose to join someone else. Then he snubbed us because of our league performances. Oh, this would be an interesting redemption arc. I've asked the board for a senior affiliate. Now, given that we're a top flight side, it would have to be a team from abroad, and I wonder if we could get a big European side that might allow us to get some big loans in, but not have to pay those stupid amounts of money on top of it. Never know. Though my suspicion is what will happen is in about a week's time, they'll come to me and say, well, we agree in principle. And then, yeah, we're getting a lot of players that are listed for loans by Italian clubs, but all of them want us to pay like £1 million just to loan the guy for half a season when his asking price is nearly £1 million. Hey, look, it's a very predictable news item. Yeah, they weren't going to do anything ever, were they? Oh, hello. Right. it's not a huge amount of outlay, and we do need a starting goalkeeper. And the worst thing is, if he's crap, I can just put Jeffrey back in. But we will... This is a risk, but I think we kind of need to do it. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Oh, he's got very good reflexes, though. And I think that... I was worried about his reflexes, but it turns out his reflexes are on the very high end of the range. I can only assume that Inter have an agreement with Parma, like an affiliate agreement, because they've literally given him that guy for free, and they wanted us to pay £2 million. We made a signing. It's Panache. We've made a signing of Panache. He's back. Now at least I can get him training what I want to do. Except I can't because he's still on holiday. I've got to remind myself to do that. Just had a look at this guy from Aston Villa as a potential loan. As a striker option. £4 million they wanted us to loan him for half a season. West Ham want £5 million for half a season. Like, some of these loan requests are absurd. I wish I could do that with my players. I suppose I could request it. They just never say yes. And I suppose I'm not saying yes either, am I? Although this guy is actually listed for loan. I wonder. No way. They'd let us have him for free with an optional future fee of £500,000. I looked at this guy and went, there's no way that we could afford him because they wanted £2 million. Well, it's gone down a bit now. But if we could loan him for free, it's only an optional future fee as well. There's Isaac Jönsson from Varbergs as well, who were relegated last season from the top flight. Love the hair. That is sensational. For that alone, he might be worth a punt. And they'd only want us to pay his wages. But honestly, I'm more interested in that Serbian fella. He could be phenomenal. The question is whether he'll accept it. That's the problem. Now, obviously, because it's optional, as far as I know, with an optional one, we don't have to agree any contracts to do with permanent signings beforehand. That's only if it's mandatory. But there's a lot I like about this guy. Like, his passing could be as high as 16. Finishing could be really solid as well. He doesn't look too slow. He's 6'3" as well. I think he could be the guy. Oh, yes. Both of them said yes. So Isaac Jönsson with his outrageous hair, and then Sasha Angelkovic, the striker. Please be good. Please be. I feel like he could play in both. What foot is he? Actually, he's left-footed as well. Actually, that could work. Okay, very happy to get a regular starter on loan. Talented player. Please tell me there's some... Okay, so his passing is actually on the lower end, but still 12, with 10 vision to go with it as well. 12 finishing, 11 composure, got good dribbling, good first touch in there as well. He's 6'3" with 11 heading isn't too bad. He's very determined, very aggressive, reasonable jumping reach on him as well. He's not the slowest, he's not the quickest either. I think for a loan, where we're paying none of his wages, I think that's a reasonable piece of business for us this season to have someone like Sasha Angelkovic for the year. It'll give Panache a bit of, run for his money, I suppose. Jönsson, not quite so happy with him, but he'll definitely provide us some cover in the centre-back spots, I suppose. Louis Molden just casually rocking up in a little scout report there. Sadly, that my face pack has changed now. He's not got the bag on his head anymore, and we don't need a goalkeeper. That would have been a nice turn of events, wouldn't it? I'm going to ask my Doff for some transfer targets for loan, maybe. See if we can find a loan centre-back. How about that? No players. Not one player has been found that's loanable and a centre-back. Brilliant. How about left wing-back? Good. How about right wing-back? Good. Oh, you know a striker. Wow. Thank you, Sinan. You've been so useful. Not one centre-back you know of. He doesn't know of any loans for centre midfielders. Like, that's most of players. Just asked him for a load. I'm going to take a load of them on trial and see if we can find any quality in there. One of them already turned us down, so I don't know what he's on about. Maybe he'll change his mind now. Oh, he actually has changed his mind. Okay, so we're going to take this little patch of players on trial and see if there's any quality in here. Matt Rodriguez do be looking good. This guy was released by Sporting Kansas City. He's a 22-year-old American attacking midfielder. He was the one that really stood out to me as being like, how does he know about this guy? Good Allsvenskan player already. There's also Samsudin Auro, a Togolese international who could be quality as well. Was released by Djurgården. No way. It's Niall John. Damn, Niall John might actually be quite good. I loved him with my Bolton team. Damn it, Fredrikstad have offered a contract to Niall John. Do I nip in here and get him? Depends how much he wants, I suppose. Lacks the financial muscle. If your estimated wage demands are 1.1 to 1.5k a week, then I'm going to go ahead and say that we don't lack the financial muscle and that you're a liar, sir. Watch him join that other club for 1.1k a week. I'm getting Panache on likes to round goalkeeper. I think that would be a good way of getting him to maybe finish a chance or two. Unfortunately, all those players I brought in on trial are being swept up by other teams before we can really fully scout them, and I don't really want to sign Ryan Giles because of the 6 tackling. Christian Gert does intrigue me, though. He does seem to lack quite a lot of the technical stuff, but he is an interesting player. And I wonder if he'd be cheap enough to pick up. Matt Rodriguez is very good. I like him a lot. How about as an advanced playmaker? Yeah, the vision and the teamwork is good too. Oh, I'd really like to sign him. No one else is interested still. I'm going to try and sign him. Important player is fine. Although I could get him down a regular starter, that'd be even better. Oh, wow. Okay. Right. I don't know. No estimated wage demands. Don't know why. Like, has no one asked him while he was here? Please don't want stupid money. Please don't want stupid money. Oh, God. Oh, it's one of these, isn't it? Because we're going to now offer him something. I'm just going to offer that basically. And then see what... Oh, come on. Now, that's not the end of this. Maybe we could get him on the old trial him a second time and they'll drop their wage demands massively if no one else is interested, potentially. But, he'll probably sign for another Swedish side on 2k a week, probably, won't he? Oh, John now has signed for Start. So remember, he said that we couldn't meet his financial muscle because he wanted, and our prediction there said 1.1 to 1.5k a week, and I can offer 3k a week, and he said he couldn't meet his financial muscle. £850 a week. Now, of course, Start are, of course, a bigger side than we are. That goes without saying. 2.5-star reputation compared to ours, which is 2.5 star. Okay, well, there's obviously still minutiae within that. When it tells you that he won't sign for you because of you cannot meet the financial muscle, and we can offer 3k a week to a player, and then he signs for another club on £850 a week. Part of me still thinks we're going to be able to try and get Matt Rodriguez. I think a second trial spell might be able to get that down a little bit because it is absurd. I'm actually finding it harder to sign players now than I was at the start of last season when we were a newly promoted side. Now, I suspect that part of the reason for that is, of course, because we've got a better squad now and we're having to look at a higher caliber of player. It's harder to find players that are willing to join us because we've made such a jump so quickly. We're sort of trapped in that perpetual cycle you get with FM if you make too much progress too fast, whereby none of the clubs actually consider you to be good, even if you are. There's also Julius Eskerson, who sort of does a similar type of thing in that he can play in both these positions. Very much a playmaker, though, so he'd probably play further up and give Donizete a bit of a rest. And then there's also Christian Gert, who, again, similar story, but I feel like is he slightly worse? The only thing about Gert is that he can even cover centre-back should you need him to. He can literally play in all 4 positions that we probably even use. I've just asked the board if we can have some more coaches and scouts. At least coaches, because we are so threadbare when it comes to both of those. I think I still only have 2 scouts, which means it takes forever to get any scouting done. Ah, they have increased it. And the scouts. And offered me a new contract. I'm going to walk away from this potential new contract at the moment because we already have a new contract that lasts till the end of the season. And I'm just going to be, careful on that for the moment. Of course, we now do enter the gauntlet of actually trying to find staff members that will accept the deals and won't want £3,000 a week. That's now the problem we have. Okay, Russian man, again, hasn't had a job in 3 years. 5 years, rather. Wants to be a performance analyst on £3,000 a week. We're going to have to steal one from another club. It's the only way to do it. I'm just going to go after the one guy that already has a contract because all of a sudden, look, if a member of staff already has a contract, they're just cheaper and it's dumb. In annoying news, BK Häcken are already out of the Swedish Cup. Luckily, Djurgården and Malmö are through with Hammarby, Norrköping, Varbergs and Helsingborg with Trelleborg in there too. One of these two have to win the cup. So Rodriguez has now left. I don't know if I'll be able to offer him another... Oh, actually can. Okay, important player now. Or did he already want that? I forget. Let's see if it's changed. Important player, negotiate contract. Oh, God, here we go again. Okay, so it's come down a bit to 4.3k. It's still too much, but I might even be able to work with that. I'm going to try and offer him this. It's not good for us, to be honest with you, but it does add a new appearance fee that kind of... So basically, it makes an appearance fee and goal bonuses that add up to stuff. It's got international wage clauses on top of that. It's got a 50% sell-on fee as well, because I've noticed that Orbay are interested in him in Denmark, and I really do want Matt Rodriguez. He's looked so good in the friendlies in that role. And I would really like to I just want to sign someone that's good. Okay, so Haugen's coming in. We have actually now finally got 3 scouts at the club. I'm tempted to... from this point onwards, I really don't think I'm going to rush the signings because it just feels like we can't quite get the quality at the moment. And I think waiting until we know what's happening with Europe is probably not the worst idea in the world. And I'm hoping that if I don't rush things, then better players will come along throughout the year that we can try and build our squad along as we go. There's this guy, Kalpi Utara, who I actually tried to sign at one point, but he went to Göteborg instead, who they're willing to loan. There's this guy, Ante Rukavina, a Croatian that plays for FC Köln. Would they let us have him? Taking a couple of risks there on some loans, but we're just going to have to roll the dice, I think. He's on the lower end of most of these scales. You can always be recalled. But Matt Rodriguez is it. Okay, good. Bit of good news there. Matt Rodriguez, the American attacking midfielder, has joined us for 2.7k a week in the end, which actually isn't too bad for what I consider to be a genuinely excellent player, and it's a lot less than £6,500, and sometimes you really do just have to wear them down. I feel like that is actually a marquee signing for us for this period. It gives Donizete a bit of competition, but moreover than that, it also just gives us more rotation options between the two of them, and they can move around the squad a little bit. I feel a little bit less worried about losing one of them as well. Malmö host Trelleborg, which is good. Djurgården are away at Helsingborg. Please win, both of you. Okay, so Ultara has joined us as well to give us a bit of cover at left wing back, and I'm actually okay with that, to be fair. It's nothing spectacular, but it does at least allow us to have Bengtsson not have to play every single match. And there's also this guy, a 17-year-old from Troyes called Evans Antista. He won't join us till the end of March, but it was just another little risk one, and it's free, so there's very little risk for us. Okay, can we see the cup results, please? Yes! Djurgården went through, Malmö went through. This is big. Please don't draw each other in the next round, I beg of you. Because against them as well, it's Norrköping and Mjällby, who are not the strongest of sides. If they could at least avoid each other going into the semi-finals, I think we've got a chance of getting Europe. Christian Gertz joined us as well. Wow, that star rating really does. I think it's just because his mentals are so good, potentially, is the reason it's so high. But I actually think he's a solid player for us, and I think that's something, right? Okay, so it's the 7th of March, which is actually my birthday as it goes. So hopefully my birthday present from FM will be... Oh, no, I've said that now. They'll both get knocked out, won't they? They'll both be drawing against each other. Please, 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 please. Yes! Malmö versus Norrköping and Djurgården versus Mjällby. I think that's going to give us a spectacular chance at qualifying for the Europa Conference League this year. Because I think they'll both get through. I think it's going to be a Malmö versus Djurgården final. And that will be enough for us to... If that's the case, then we'll guarantee Europe. As long as those two is the final. Also, notice how Amino Sarr is the top scorer in the cup. I hate you, sir. Jeffrey's done himself a hernia, so just as well we've got other keepers. Cup matches. Djurgården versus Mjällby. Malmö versus Norrköping. Hopefully, they both win. That's all I want. Yes! We've done it! We're in the Europa Conference League. Djurgården beat Mjällby 1-0 and Malmö beat Norrköping 4-0, which means it'll be an already qualify for European Cup final, which means that I think one of those news articles in the top corner is Degerfors qualifying for the Europa Conference League. Come on. I'm pretty pleased with that, actually. To go from second tier to Europe in 2 seasons. That's... Wow. That makes me feel that a little bit better. This should hopefully say... Oh, it doesn't. Oh. I assume it's going to have to wait until after the cup final actually happens, but we now know that that's not going to be a problem. Maybe in the summer, once we are in the Europa Conference League, that might also up the caliber of the players that are willing to talk to us potentially. So maybe we'll just keep the rest of our money in our back pocket for then. But I think we've got a solid squad to start the season. There's definitely been some improvements. Okay, so we got the young centre-back in from France. And he's actually not awful. The heading is the problem, but he's got reasonable basics attributes, but yeah, I mean, it's not going to play much, I don't think. We're finally here. It's the first day of the season. We get to celebrate because we know that we're going to be in the Europa Conference League this year. It's all but confirmed. We have to wait till the end of May for the cup final to actually happen to get all that sort of the glory that comes along with it. But still, it's a jolly old time for us. The fact that Degerfors are going to be in the Europa Conference League is awesome because it's going to give us the chance, if we could pull off some miracles, to gain a bit of extra cash. And that's really what it comes down to. Just getting through a couple of rounds. Imagine if we could sneak into the group stages. The money that would come along with that could be an enormous boon, but I don't think we're quite good enough for that. But you never know. By the time the summer rolls around, maybe we could bring in a couple of new guys. I don't know. Who knows? We've made a lot of signings, it feels like, even though feels like we haven't. I don't think our squad's going to look too different. Let's jump in and see. So, how is this going to shape up for the season? Let me do a team selection advice, and then I'll change it based around that. So we've got Anđelković and obviously Panache. I kind of want to start Anđelković up front for today's match, just because he's the new boy and I want to see what he can do. Or, alternatively, we could put Anđelković on the right and Mutin Banjoka on the left-hand side. And I'm not entirely opposed to that, actually, to having both of them through the middle, because he can play there and play there well. And I've kind of been a bit pissed off at Kvistgård, honestly. Ever since he was out late in that nightclub and missed training because of it, I've been a little bit... He's not been on my good side, let's put it that way. So at the back line, that's not happening. That'll probably have to be the lineup for the back line. Lindell there and Utara, interesting. Which does make sense because he's more match freshness than Bengtsson, who's only just returned from an injury. So Utara will start. Gert and Hudu. We've got Rodriguez and Donazite in there too. I'm going to start Rodriguez here because Donazite is not fully fresh and ready to go yet. He's just sort of recovering from stuff. So I think Rodriguez through there as well. Gert and Hudu in the midfield. Wow, this is looking interesting now. That'll do for today. Now, obviously, we can rotate this stuff around a little bit, and that will be fine, hopefully. Kvistgård's left out entirely, bless him. Or maybe we can move to them both being inside advanced forwards. I don't know about how much I like that idea, but maybe that's the approach. Right, here we go. First game of the season. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, given that it's GIF Sundsvall, we really need to start off the season with a victory here. It will sort of be a statement of intent. There is quite a few new players in that lineup, actually. A surprising amount, I would have said. Third best defense in the league last year. I want to maintain that whilst becoming better in attack. Anđelković, there's the ball. That's exactly what I want to see as Panache has drilled it over the crossbar, but it's a start and it's an opening. Can make a run of his own, potentially. All the way through. Panache! Oh, he's missed it. But again, chances are coming to him, which is nice. What a first half. Grand total of 2 shots, both of which fell to Panache, and he possibly could have scored either of them. I guess defensively we still look pretty stable, but that is a stuttery start. But I am pleased to see us not let them have a single shot in the first half of the match. That's a good sign about our defensive fortitude continuing. But once again, we need to be more creative going forward. Björklund back to Anđelković again. Rodriguez. See that? Oh, here we go. There's the ball. Anđelković gets it back onto... Oh, he's gone onto his left foot, and it's a good save from Jensen, but that was nice build-up, and Anđelković did well to get in behind. Possibly should have done better with the finish, though. But again, lovely build-up, did well there. Hoodoo to deliver the corner this time. And, oh, it's Angelkovic who gets on the end of it, I think. Svanberg. Rodriguez finds Angelkovic to panache. Here we go. Through a return pass. There is again. Angelkovic, he can look outside. He doesn't need it. Oh, Hoodoo. Can he put this on Linger's head and bail us out here a little bit? Scoops it in. And it's tipped over. Angelkovic comes short. Finds Panache. He's in again. He's going to have to shoot. And he does, and it's wide. I am pretty disappointed in us there not winning this match because we have been all over GIF for the most part in this game. They've managed one shot on target and it was a free kick. Defensively, again, really solid, which is good. But once more, there were chances in this match presented to us. Unless Angelkovic can do some miracle here in literal stoppage time, I think we've probably had it here. And there it is. Yeah, Degerfors 0, Sundsvall 0. And I think we would have been good value for the win in this game. We were definitely the better side, especially in the second half. Really stepped things up, but just couldn't seem to break them down enough to score a goal. Standard story, isn't it? What I would say is at least Angelkovic and Mutibanioka did look like a decent pairing and were creating stuff. So that's something. Maybe today's just an off day, but it's not what you want to see on the opening day of the season against a game, in a game we should be winning, quite simply. And I think we should have done. And hopefully as the season wears on, these are the types of games that we will be winning because you can't really not. New boys to the league, of course, Jönköping Södra in there. Örebro as well, I'm fairly certain, are brand new to the top flight. But at the very least, it was nice to see us get yet another clean sheet, look solid at the back. We just need to start scoring our goddamn chances. But at least we look like creating more chances today. And it was more chances for our strikers. And I'm hoping that just the sheer number of chances created will allow us to score more goals from them this season. That's the plan anyway. But we will have to wait and see. This feels like it's been an extremely long episode. But nevertheless, if you have enjoyed it, drop a like. That'd be gorgeous. If you're new to the channel, subscribe too. That'd be lovely. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Go follow there too. And I'll see you guys very soon for some more Nordic Nomads. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.